Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. Your personality is the lid on your destiny. If you don't fix your personality, you can pray for success, you can wish for abundance, you can hope for a better life, but life will hand you back the same old results. Why? Because personality is not just how you act when people are watching. Personality is how you respond to adversity, how you manage discipline, how you show up when no one else is clapping for you. And if you want transformation, you've got to understand that the quality of your personality will determine the quality of your life. Your personality is your ceiling. Let me repeat that because it might be the most important truth you hear today. Your personality is the invisible barrier that determines how far you can go in life. You can pray for abundance. You can set big goals. You can even work hard. But if your personality is toxic, negative, or filled with self-sabotaging traits, you will eventually hit a ceiling that stops you from rising higher. Some people think their problem is a lack of resources, a lack of connections, or even a lack of opportunity. But more often than not, the real limitation is their personality. They cannot manage their attitude, they cannot control their emotions, and they cannot discipline themselves long enough to build consistency. That's not a talent problem. That's not an opportunity problem. That's a personality problem. Let me ask you this: how many times have you seen someone with incredible skill, but they couldn't keep a job? How many times have you seen a person with massive potential, but their relationships constantly fall apart? That's because personality becomes the ceiling of their life. They may have the gift to climb higher, but their personality is like a weight pulling them down. If you want your life to transform, you've got to raise the ceiling. You've got to fix the aspects of your personality that keep sabotaging your growth. Because the truth is, people don't lose in life because they lack talent. They lose because they lack the personality to manage the blessings their talent could have brought them. Here's a hook for you. The most dangerous enemy of your destiny is not outside of you. It's inside of you. It's the impatience that makes you quit too soon. It's the pride that makes you think you know it all. It's the laziness that convinces you to do it tomorrow. It's the fear that whispers, what if you fail? That's the personality ceiling. And until you confront it, you can't break it. Now let's get practical. If your personality is your ceiling, then raising that ceiling requires growth in areas that most people ignore. Do you have the humility to admit you're wrong? Do you have the resilience to bounce back when life hits you? Do you have the consistency to keep showing up even when the results are not instant? Because these are the qualities that strengthen your personality and allow you to rise higher. Success is not built in a day, it's built daily. And your personality determines how you handle those daily decisions. Think about this. A person with the wrong personality could win the lottery and still be broke in 5 years. Why? Because their mindset and habits haven't changed. Money magnifies who you already are. If you are disciplined, generous, and wise, money will multiply that. If you are reckless, arrogant, and lazy, money will multiply that too. That's why fixing your personality is more important than chasing money. Because when you raise your personality, money, opportunities, and success naturally follow. Let me give you another hook. Your personality introduces you before you even open your mouth. The way you carry yourself, the way you treat people, the way you respond to pressure, people are reading that every single day. Doors don't just open for the most talented, they open for the most trustworthy, the most consistent, the most reliable. And those are personality traits, not skills. So the challenge is simple but not easy. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what part of my personality is holding me back? Maybe it's negativity. Maybe it's pride. Maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's the inability to control your temper. Whatever it is, that's the ceiling. And if you want your life to transform, you must be willing to do the hard work of fixing it. Because when you fix your personality, you don't just break through a ceiling, you raise the entire roof of your life, allowing you to experience levels of success, peace, and abundance that were once out of reach. Discipline builds destiny. Those three words carry more power than most people realize, because discipline is not just about doing hard things. It's about becoming the kind of person who is unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniable. Discipline is the invisible force that separates those who dream from those who achieve. You see, feelings are deceptive. Feelings say, I don't feel like waking up early. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like making those calls. And if you live by your feelings, you'll always stay stuck. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel, I'm doing it anyway. And that is how destinies are built. Let me give you a hook that might sting a little bit. Your destiny does not care about your feelings. Destiny only responds to discipline. Every time you let laziness dictate your decisions, you're postponing your future. Every time you give in to fear, instead of moving forward, you're delaying your breakthrough. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you are silently saying no to the very life you've been praying for. That's the hard truth most people don't want to face, but it's the very truth that sets people free. Think about every person you admire, every success story you look up to. Behind the stage, behind the accolades, behind the victories is a trail of discipline. Champions are not made in the spotlight. They're forged in the dark. When nobody is watching, they're forged in the early mornings when the bed feels too comfortable. But they get up anyway. They're forged in the late nights when it would be easier to quit, but they keep pushing anyway. They're forged in the decisions to keep moving forward, even when the results are not visible yet. That's discipline. And that is what creates destiny. Here's the challenge: too many people wait for motivation to take action. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning. If you wait until you feel like it, you will never build anything worth having. The future belongs to those who train themselves to do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. That's how empires are built. That's how legacies are established. That's how ordinary people create extraordinary lives. Let me drop another hook for you. The habits you practice today are the seeds of your destiny tomorrow. Every disciplined choice you make is a brick in the foundation of your future. Wake up early today, that's one brick. Save a portion of your income instead of spending it all, that's another brick. Work on your craft while others are distracted, that's another brick. And before long, you look back and realize you've built a fortress of success around your life. But the opposite is also true. Every undisciplined choice you make weakens that foundation. Procrastinate today, you've removed a brick. Waste hours scrolling instead of learning, you've removed a brick. Give in to excuses instead of execution, you've removed a brick. Eventually, the house collapses, not because destiny failed you, but because discipline abandoned you. Discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. When you deny yourself comfort today, you're preparing yourself for freedom tomorrow. When you master your time, your energy, and your focus, you unlock doors that talent alone could never open. Because talent is a gift, but discipline is a choice. And the truth is, disciplined people will always surpass talented people who refuse to control themselves. So let me ask you directly, are you ruled by your feelings, or are you led by your discipline? Because one of them will determine your destiny. If you live by feelings, you'll always take the easy road, and the easy road never leads anywhere worth going. But if you live by discipline, you'll take the hard road that shapes you, stretches you, and ultimately transforms you into the person capable of living the destiny you were created for. Discipline is not glamorous, and it's not always fun, but it is always rewarding. The moment you embrace it, you stop chasing your destiny and start building it. And when that happens, life won't be the same again because you will have become the architect of your own future. Talent may get you noticed, but character is what keeps you in the room. You can have the most incredible abilities in the world, but if your personality, your integrity, and your character are broken, sooner or later everything you've built will collapse. We live in a culture that glorifies talent. People want to shine. They want the spotlight. They want the applause. But let me give you a truth that might shake you. Talent is a gift. Character is a choice. And it's your choices that will ultimately decide your future. Think about this. How many people do you know who had amazing talent but lost everything because their character couldn't sustain it? Athletes who wasted their careers because of poor decisions, entrepreneurs who built empires only to watch them crumble due to greed, leaders who had influence but destroyed trust through pride or dishonesty. That's because talent will open doors, but character determines how long those doors stay open. If you want true, lasting success, it's not enough to develop your talent. You must develop your character. Here's a hook that will stop you in your tracks. People will forget what you can do faster than they will forget who you are. Talent impresses people for a moment, but character impacts people for a lifetime. You can entertain someone with talent, but you can only build trust with character. And trust is the real currency of influence. Without it, everything else eventually falls apart. Talent is about performance, but character is about consistency. You can perform when the lights are bright, but who are you when nobody's watching? Do you keep your word? Do you follow through? Do you show up on time? Do you treat people with respect, no matter their position? These are the small things that reveal the strength of your character, and they matter far more than people realize. Because destiny doesn't crumble when you lack talent. It crumbles when you lack character. Another hook for you: talent may create opportunities, but character protects opportunities. Imagine being handed the keys to a mansion, but you don't know how to take care of it. Eventually, neglect and carelessness will ruin what was given to you. That's exactly what happens when talent carries you higher than your character can hold you. Without character, success becomes temporary, and temporary success can be more dangerous than failure because it fools you into thinking you're unstoppable while your foundation is cracking beneath you. The truth is, character is built in the quiet moments, in the decisions no one applauds. It's built when you choose honesty, even when lying would be easier. It's built when you choose humility, even when pride feels more satisfying. It's built when you choose patience, even when rushing could bring faster results. Every decision to live with integrity is like adding another layer of strength to the foundation of your life. And when storms come, and they always come, talent might wobble, but character will stand. Let me remind you of something powerful. Character is not about perfection, it's about direction. Nobody is flawless, but everyone has the responsibility to grow. The question is not, do I make mistakes? But am I willing to learn, to change, to do better? Because people don't expect you to be perfect. They expect you to be consistent. They expect you to own your flaws, to apologize when necessary, to show that your word still means something in a world where promises are broken every day. That's the kind of person people trust, follow, and respect. And here's the ultimate hook: talent may make you rich, but character makes you wealthy. Wealth is not just money. It's reputation, it's legacy, It's the peace of knowing you built something that cannot be taken away by scandal, greed, or failure. When you invest in character, you're not just preparing for success, you're preparing to sustain it for generations. That's why character will always outweigh talent. Because talent shines for a season, but character builds a destiny. Life is not defined by the challenges you face, it is defined by how you respond to those challenges. Two people can encounter the same storm. One rises stronger, the other collapses in defeat. The difference is not in the storm, it is in the response. This is why changing your responses can completely change your results. Too often, people think their problem is the size of the obstacle in front of them. But the truth is the obstacle is not the problem. The real problem is the way they choose to respond. Your response is your power, and when you master it, you shift the outcome of your life. Here's a hook to shake your perspective. Adversity does not define you, but your response does. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens in you. That choice is the dividing line between failure and victory, between scarcity and abundance, between living in excuses and living in empowerment. Every single day, life gives you opportunities disguised as problems. And the ones who rise are not the ones with perfect circumstances. They are the ones who respond differently. Think about it. When most people face setbacks, their response is to complain, to point fingers, to drown in self-pity. But those responses only reproduce the same cycle of defeat. Complaints don't solve problems, excuses don't create progress, and blame never builds success. On the other hand, when you respond with faith, with strategy, and with persistence, you open doors where others see walls. You take what was meant to break you and turn it into fuel to build you. The difference between winners and quitters is not that winners never fall. It's that their response to falling is to rise again, stronger, wiser, and more determined. Here's another hook. Every response is a seed, and every seed produces a harvest. Respond with fear, and you harvest regret. Respond with excuses, and you harvest stagnation. Respond with courage, and you harvest progress. Respond with strategy, and you harvest breakthrough. The harvest is never random. It is always tied to the seed of your response. If you want better results, you've got to start planning better responses. Let's get real practical. When someone criticizes you, do you respond with anger or do you respond with growth? When plans fail, do you respond by giving up or do you respond by adjusting and moving forward? When opportunity requires more effort than you feel like giving, do you respond with laziness or do you respond with discipline? These micro responses are not small, they're massive because they compound into the trajectory of your entire life. The people who keep winning aren't always the smartest or the most talented. They're simply the ones who respond better, more consistently, and with more resilience than anyone else. Here's a truth worth remembering. Results are not created by circumstances, they are created by responses. You can place two people in the exact same environment, facing the exact same challenges, and one will rise while the other will remain stuck. The difference is not the environment, it's the response. That means you already have the power to shift your life without waiting for conditions to change. The moment you change your responses, you begin changing your results. And here's the ultimate hook. Your future is hidden in your next response. That decision you make today when stress hits, when fear rises, when obstacles appear, that decision has the power to redirect your entire destiny. Don't underestimate it. The smallest shift in your response can create the biggest shift in your results. That's why powerful people are not the ones with perfect lives. They are the ones who master their responses, and in doing so, master their results. Pride has destroyed more destinies than failure ever could. Pride says, I already know, I don't need help. I don't need advice. I don't need correction. But humility whispers. There is always more to learn, always more to grow, always someone who knows what I don't. Humility opens doors that pride will slam shut because humility makes you teachable, approachable, and trustworthy. Pride blinds you to opportunities, but humility allows you to see beyond your own perspective and step into blessings that would otherwise pass you by. Here's a hook you need to remember. Pride makes you think you are bigger than the lesson, and that's why you keep repeating the same cycle. Humility makes you willing to learn the lesson, and that's why you move forward to the next level. Life doesn't promote the arrogant, life promotes the teachable. Every opportunity has a teacher attached to it, and if you are too proud to learn, you disqualify yourself from growth. Think about it. How many people do you know who were gifted, talented, and positioned for greatness but ruined everything because of pride? Pride is deceptive. It can make you overestimate your abilities and underestimate the importance of character. It can make you believe that rules don't apply to you, that discipline is for others, that correction is beneath you. But the higher pride takes you, the harder the fall when reality hits. Humility, on the other hand, keeps you grounded. It reminds you that no matter how high you climb, you are still a student in the school of life. And students keep rising because they never stop learning. Here's another hook. Pride will cost you relationships, but humility will build you networks. People don't want to work with someone who thinks they know it all, someone who refuses to listen, someone who can't admit mistakes. But people are drawn to those who are humble enough to say, teach me, guide me, show me how to do it better. Humility multiplies connections, partnerships, and opportunities because it shows others that you are safe to grow with. Pride isolates, humility multiplies. Let's get practical. Pride keeps you silent when you should be asking questions. Pride makes you pretend to understand when you're really lost. Pride convinces you to act strong while you're secretly breaking down. Humility says, I don't know. Can you help me understand? Humility says, I need guidance here. Can you show me the way? Humility says, I was wrong. Let me correct it. These small choices to lower your pride and embrace humility are not signs of weakness. They are signs of strength, because only the strong can admit their flaws and keep growing from them. Here's a truth that will transform you. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. It's not about being insecure, it's about being secure enough to admit when you don't know, when you need help, and when someone else has wisdom you don't have yet. Pride is loud, but humility is powerful. Pride seeks recognition, but humility earns respect. Pride demands the spotlight, but humility shines even in the shadows. And that's why humility opens doors, because it creates trust. And trust is the key that unlocks influence, opportunity, and success. And let me leave you with a final hook. Pride builds walls, humility builds bridges. Every door you need to walk through in life is connected to people. If pride keeps you at odds with people, you'll never reach the doors that lead to your destiny. But humility builds relationships, creates alignment, and earns favor. And favor will take you further than talent, further than intelligence, further than any skill. That is why humility will always open doors that pride can only keep closed. Transformation attracts abundance. Too many people are chasing wealth, chasing opportunity, chasing success, not realizing that the reason those things seem to run from them is because they have not transformed into the person who can sustain them. The secret is this: when you change who you are, you change what you attract. Abundance does not chase after people who remain stagnant, lazy, or negative. Abundance is drawn to growth, to discipline, to excellence. When you transform yourself, you become a magnet for the very things you've been praying for, because abundance is attracted to alignment. Here's a hook that will wake you up. Abundance doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. You can want wealth, but if you are careless with money, you'll repel it. You can want influence, but if your character is shallow, people won't trust you. You can want opportunity, but if you lack discipline, you'll lose it as quickly as it comes. Wanting something doesn't qualify you to receive it. Transformation does. The greater the transformation inside of you, the greater the abundance that will flow toward you. Think about a seed. You can hold it in your hand and wish it would grow, but until it goes through transformation, breaking, stretching, changing, it can never produce fruit. The soil doesn't give abundance to a seed that refuses to change. Life works the same way. You can pray for a harvest, but if you're not willing to transform, the soil of life will withhold its abundance from you. The fruit only comes when the seed is willing to be transformed. Transformation is not easy. It requires letting go of old habits, old mindsets, old excuses. It requires discipline when you feel tired, faith when you feel afraid, consistency when you feel like quitting. And that's why most people resist transformation. They want abundance without the process. But here's another hook. You can't skip the process and still expect the promise. Abundance belongs to the transformed, not the comfortable. Now let's get real practical. If you want financial abundance, transform the way you manage money. Stop spending everything you make and start saving, investing, and multiplying. If you want relational abundance, transform the way you treat people. Stop using them, stop disrespecting them, and start adding value everywhere you go. If you want spiritual abundance, transform your habits of discipline, gratitude, and consistency in prayer or meditation. Whatever area of abundance you are seeking, the first step is not get more. The first step is become more. Here's a powerful truth. Transformation makes you valuable, and value attracts abundance. When you work on yourself, your mindset, your skills, your discipline, you raise your value. And in this world, value is always rewarded. People don't pay for average, they pay for excellence. Opportunities don't chase mediocrity, they chase mastery. Transformation is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and abundance is waiting on the other side. Let me give you another hook. Abundance is not luck, it is alignment. When you transform yourself, you align with the principles that create success. You align with discipline, and discipline multiplies. You align with humility, and humility attracts relationships. You align with integrity, and integrity builds trust. Every area of transformation pulls you closer to the abundance you desire, because abundance flows to alignment like rivers flow downhill. The reality is this: abundance is not something you pursue, it's something you attract by who you become. When you transform yourself, abundance becomes inevitable. The doors you thought were locked suddenly swing open. The relationships you once struggled for now come naturally. The opportunities that seemed impossible begin to find you. And it's not because the world changed. It's because you did. Transformation turns you into the kind of person abundance cannot resist.